Hello, class. Welcome to Module 4. I want to give you a little uh, head start on the project for this week. Now, this is a big part of your final project. This is an important milestone, so I want to make sure you're all comfortable doing this and working in the Python tools and such. So, let's get started by looking at the instructions here. Now, um, you're gonna so you've already done this in module 3, uploaded the Austin Animal Center database. You've created that AAC user account, and you've assigned it a password. So if you did everything correctly in module 3, uh, you've got a good head start here. So you don't have to do any of this first step here. Now, next, you must develop a Python module and a py file using object-oriented programming methodology to enable create and read functionality for the database. So last week we got comfortable with the create, read, update, and delete in the Mongo shell. This time we're going to be doing some of that in Python. So we need to develop a CRud class that, when instantiated, provides the following functionality. A method that inserts a document into a specified MongoDB database and collection. Notice it says a document, so we're going to be using insert one. And a method that queries for documents from a specified Mongo database and collection. So we're going to be doing a create, or rather an insert, and a read, a find. It says important to be sure to use find instead of find one. And hint, you must work with the cursor returned by the find method. So we're going to take a look at all of that. Now here's some example code to get you started. Now you got to look at this. It says that you must edit these connection variables below to reflect your own instance of MongoDB. So if you just use this port, for example, as is, it's very likely not going to work. So what you need to do is open up the terminal window in the lab. Open up the terminal and type in print env. Print env. It's gonna display everything about all the environmental variables that, such as the port, the host, all of that, that Mongo is expecting. And here we are, Mongo port. In my instance, it's 31230. It may be different for you, so be sure to do this for yourself. Mongo port 31230. So that's what I'm going to use here instead of this example. Next, next they've given us a host. And that actually seems to be correct. That's the same thing I have. So nvdesktopservices.aporto.com. It may be different for you, so be sure and check. This username and password, those are going to be good if you did everything correctly in Module 3, because that's the password it said to use. It didn't give you the option last module of coming up with your own password. It said definitely use this, and here's why. Now, if you did use a different password, that should be fine as long as you remember what it is and put it in here. And the user is AAC user. The database is AAC. Now notice they've got a lowercase AAC here. If you recall, and if you go in and show databases, that's going to be uppercase. So if yours is uppercase as is mine, then you need to make this uppercase, the DB. Now the collection, animals, that's fine. Okay, so once you fix all of this, if you did everything correctly in Module 3, and then you use this example code, you should get a good connection to the database. So we have that. Now let's open up Jupyter Notebook. Now I've created a new folder here. Now the way to do that, go here, New Folder, and then it's going to show up down here as Untitled Folder. So then you would click here and click Rename. But I don't want to rename that one. And so I did that. I had an untitled new folder. I renamed it to CS340_project. Whatever you want to call yours is fine. I'm not going to see that. Just something to help you keep things organized. So inside here, I created another new folder, Module 4, and that's where we're going to be working today. Now notice I copied my AAC CRud Python file up here into the root. You may want to do that eventually because this is going to be bigger than just Module 4 eventually. You know, you'll have like a Module 5, Module 6, Module 7, Module 8 folders under here eventually. But your final project work you may want to put out in the root because it's going to draw from all of those. This is supposed to be floating on top. Interesting. When I expand the lab full screen, it hides my image, but that's okay. You don't need to see me. So anyway, I'm going to go into Module 4, and I'm going to open up this notebook that I've been working with. And I have here the example code they gave us, except I've changed up the port to match my real port. And everything else is pretty much what they gave us, except I went ahead and did a find in here and hard-coded in some values, a key value pair that I want to find all the instances of. And then it's gonna return a cursor, and then I'm gonna list the cursor. I'm just gonna the cursor is going to be a data set, and I'm gonna put it into an array and display it. So let's go ahead and run this. So everything in here, again, except for this code down here that just sort of demonstrates to me that I have connected to the database and that I can read the data. So here we go. Let's run this. And here's our output. Okay, you can't see the database name, so let me comment this part out for a second. Save that, run it. And so here's the result of our list database names. As you recall from Module 3, we only gave AAC user visibility into the AAC database. So if you're logged into Mongo as AAC user, as we are here, because that's what we passed in as a user to the connection string, then the only database you're going to see is AAC. So if that's not what you're seeing after logging in as AAC user, then you probably did something incorrectly in Module 3. I wouldn't worry too much about it right now. I haven't, at this point, I haven't graded your Module 3 work yet, but that would be an issue there, not here. So we've got that. Now let's we'll comment this out, and we'll make sure that we can actually find something in the collection. And yes, so here, this is all of the dogs in the database, so that should be quite a collection. Now, just to make sure I'm not deceiving you, let's change this to cat and run it again. And here we go. Here are the cats. So our example code that they gave us is working fine once you get those, get the port and the host correct. So now let's go down here and we'll save that one for later. Let's do the full thing here. We're going to create an animal shelter class or an animal shelter CRud, whatever you want to call it. Let's do that. Okay, so we've created a class here, and we right now we have the we still have these connection variables hard-coded. We're going to fix that later. Now, there's nothing explicitly mentioned in the assignment for this week about having to pass in the connection variables, but I believe when we get to the end of the term and the final project, you're going to want to have that in place. So if it's convenient, you could go ahead and do it now. If you're pressed for time and you get it working like this, then that'll be fine too. I'm not going to penalize anybody for not having, not being able to pass in connection variables this week. So we have a create method, so we can pass in some data, and it will insert that as a document into the collection. And we have a read method. So let's run that. And this is Jupyter Notebook, so that just created the class, and now we're going to run this one and instantiate it. And then we're going to create a variable, a collection of data that we want to pass in. And now X create. So return to true. That means it worked. So our animal shelter CRud create. If it returns a true, then it got a result back with an inserted ID here. So that means our data, new data went into the collection. And now we're going to do a read. Of my animal. So let's see if that matches. By the way, one of you watching will recognize some of this code. One of you sent me an advance copy of your code asking for some help with the connection, and it turns out it was the port, and a couple of other minor things. But so since I had it here debugging it, and it was very good code, very nicely done. So I'm using that as part of this demonstration. I hope the individual I'm speaking of doesn't mind. It's very nice code. You should be proud. So anyway, that's evidence that what we have is working. So now the next step is to open up let's minimize that and open up RStudio, and we're going to take our class and code it in here and create save this as a Python file. Where's our save button? And so we're in module 4. I've saved it in here and in the root for now, but so we're just gonna do that. I'm not gonna save it right now because it's already saved. And notice now that we're passing in the connection variables. So user, password, host, port, database, and collection are not hard-coded in our class anymore, but everything else is the same. Here's our create method. Here is our read method. So now let's go back into Jupyter Notebook. I opened up a new notebook. Anyway, here, so that's why I saved the py file in the module 4 subfolder, because that's where we're working. And so from AAC CRud, which is the name of my file, if you recall, where is RStudio? You see this AAC_CRud.py. That's the name of the file. So from that file, from AAC CRud, we're going to import the animal shelter CRud class. And then we're going to define our connection details here. Got the username, password, host, port, database, and collection. And we're going to pass all of that in. And we're going to insert some data. And we're going to read some data using the let's see if this works. Okay, so we just used this to, it says insert operation result true and read operation result. It's right here. Now that's not as nicely readable as what Jupyter Notebook gave us, but it's all there, and you could turn that into a nicer display, and we may be doing that later on. So anyway, at this point, you would be done with the coding. Of course, you also this week you have your you also have your README file to work on. So I recommend that. And now, of course, this README file is you're going to be shaping this more and more as a deliverable for the final project. But the deliverable for this assignment is specifically about the work you're doing in Module 4, except for, let's take a look at that. There's a, where is it? Here it is, roadmap features. It says optional, but what I would do with that, for myself, I would go ahead and look through the upcoming modules, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and anything you're going to be doing in those modules that is part of the completion of your final project. I would go ahead and itemize those things here in your roadmap. So give this a good shot. I'm not going to be overly critical this week on this, but definitely take this seriously. A good README file by the time we get to the end is definitely something you're going to have. So they gave you some excellent resources to use to learn about how to do this, and some good examples. So this should turn out pretty well for you. So that's what I want to show you this time, and good luck with the assignment. It should be a lot of fun, and I'll see you next week.